Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jesus here with the Vanbros, and who am I here with?
Hi, my name's Kenny. I got top 32 in Tampa with my longtime main Nightrose.
Okay, well, glad you didn't make it weird. We're gonna go ahead and go on down here, and go right ahead. Start your profile.
All right, so we're gonna start off here with the grade ones. What we got here is 3 Negro Bone, main grade 1 of the deck. You want to spam him as much as possible. And of course, you can't add Negro Bone without, of course, the 4 Alvina. Really good early game. I can't really name a time where it's really bad to call her. Good for getting back your ghost chases. So then loop her back to get Bone again the next turn. And then of course, 2 Philander. Really good card in the early game. Helps you get more bones into the drop for your Alvina plays. Also, it's an 18k booster. When it's late in the game, go for your grade 4 Nightrose swings. He helps you get there. And then we got 1 copy of Fiarma. Fiarma's really good, but I don't really want to clog up the deck with too many, because really the spam and Largo play only really works like the one time before you're just running out of energy for your Alvinas. So basically, you pitch this early game. When you wrap to grade 3, you pitch in Largo, activate his ability, get back in Largo, and pitch him again when you stride. So you're basically just going +2. Not agreed. What does that do? So, and then of course we got 3 Honeycomb Thyreus as my regular Perfect Guards with 1 Sanctitude. I'm actually thinking about cutting the Sanctitude, mostly just because the hostage package is just way too good. So I pretty much just want to be able to dump at least 1 Perfect Guard early game just to call back with Alvina, so I can of course get past pesky Drag Striders. Really sucky against Blightmire, actually. That actually came up in my round 5. So that concludes grade 1s. Going to grade 2s. We got 3 Alvina. Not Alvina, Saphira. So 3 Esperania Saphira. Really good early game, especially if you end up losing the dice roll. Lets you look at the top card of your deck, either choose to mill it or keep it on top if it's a trigger or something that you really need in your hand, like a copy of Nightrose for later. And it's also just more recursion. When you call from hand, you can call it grade 2 or less from your grade 2 or greater from your drop zone, or you can get back a set order. That actually also came up against Blightmire. We then have 3 copies of Marauding Shade, best grade 2 in the deck. Early game, he's a 10k shield. Late in the game becomes a 15k shield, but also a 20k beater when you hollow him. Really important on those Nightrose turns when you're trying to push for game. So we got 2 Negralazy. Another mainstay of the deck. It's your recursion engine, it's your countercharge engine. It's how you get back your Perfect Guards at the end of the turn to then use for your hostage package later. Really good. Speaking of the hostage package, got 1 Flowering Sweet Shop and 1 VL. VL, of course, finds the Flowering Sweet Shop. Don't really think I need to say anything else more about that. And then we have 1 copy of Ghost Chase. Lets you get back really important pieces that you want to get back to your hand, like if you had to revive a copy of Nightrose because you didn't have one in your hand. It helps you get that back during your opponent's turn. And of course, lets you get your Perfect Guards back. We then have 2 Energy Cyclers. This is a little bit after Tampa, so I have since cut the card from the deck. But I was running 2 Energy Cyclers. Being able to draw 3 cards during your first turn, going second is really, really OP. But I've since really not needed them, so I just ended up selling all the copies I had. That's it for grade 2s. Going into grade 3s, 2 more copies of Nightrose. I really don't feel like 3 is necessary, because you can dump it early with Philander and then just spam and Largo to keep getting it back every single time you stride. Don't think I need to say anything more about that. We got 1 copy of Nightstorm. Nightstorm's really good for your push turns, and of course it draws a card when you pitch it to stride. so it's really not dead in your hand early game either. One copy of Bracing Angel Ladder. We mostly play this just for the extra soul, so you can keep spamming Emlargolf. And of course, then not being able to get rid of the perfect card that you called for your hostage pact is also great. And then we got
Daring today, aren't we?
3 copies of probably like the 3rd best card in the deck, Emlargolf. Draw when you pitch it to stride or when you're right up to grade 3, and then when you call it, you can Soul Blast 1, get a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone back to your hand. That's usually either a Marauding Shade, a copy of Nightrose, or in a really niche situation, if you dump this early, you can then grab Ladder, then just shove it right back into Soul, draw a card, and then have fuel for Emlargolf the next turn. Okay, that's enough on that. Moving on to triggers, we played, of course, mandatory 4 heals, 4 effect crits, because really good to get early soul if you need to push. 4 vanilla crits, 3 fronts, and of course, what I still think is the best over trigger in the game by far, Bless Favor. It just does literally everything you could ever want.
Doesn't double everything on board.
I mean, pretty much. Being able to play 5 heals and 9 crits in your deck is pretty good. So, yeah, and of course going over the ride line, Grenache, Parting Shade, Columbar. We don't really need to talk about that.
Yo, let's see that Nightrose though. That Nightrose is looking nice in there.
Oh, the SP? Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful. If you're running a stride deck, you gotta go out and buy the SP of your ride line. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing.
Didn't spend a single cent on this one because my promo packs were just absolutely cracked.
I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I didn't spend a single freaking cent on this. I was really happy that I was able to finally get my entire SP lineup. SP.
That's nice. That's nice.
I think it only cost me like $200.
You know, in the numbers anyways.
Did you want to talk about like matchups and see how it all went down?
Yeah, let me pull these back up. So, how are your matchups?
Okay, so funny enough, round 1, I ended up facing one of my teammates, Tim, playing Rezael. He won the dice roll, made me go first. So I wasn't really able to push him as much as I'd like to. But unfortunately, he ended up having to pitch like 3 triggers on his ride up. And he never saw a second copy of Rezael or Gablolius. So I was pretty much just able to completely punish him on my first Obadiah turn. And he just didn't have enough cards in hand to survive the Nightrose turn. He actually didn't even get a chance to Divine Skill because he only saw like 2 crits the entire game. And only one was in his drop.
Sometimes you gotta do the Divine Skill when you're at 4. Even if there's nothing to put back, sometimes you gotta do it to be safe.
Like, he should have known that he was probably going to die because he had like no drop power in the early game. And then round 2, strangely enough, I played against Youthberg. Probably the most beautiful Youthberg deck I've ever seen. It was completely maxed out in everything. So the way that match went, he won the dice roll. For some reason, he still decided for me to go second, which was probably what sealed his fate there because I just had an absolutely cracked hand. I of course pitched Negromon turn 1, drew 2 cards, played Alvina, called back Negromon, and then went Philander, dump another Negromon, and then I called another Alvina, so an 8K column and 2 18K columns. So even if he got a defensive trigger, he would have died. Well, he just had. So even with the defensive trigger, he couldn't have really done anything. Then I actually hit my over trigger on my first turn, so I was able to push him to 4 damage on turn 1. That didn't really help his case. And then I don't even think he made it past his first grade 3 turn because on my first Obadiah turn I checked front healed and he was already at 5 by then. And I just put everything on my my Night Storm column. He just couldn't keep up with it. Then round 3 was Dayusha. I don't understand why, but I kept getting all of the Levager's counter decks. He won the dice roll, made me go first. Yada yada yada. Really, the only thing notable was the fact that he hit Elder Breath on his first grade 3 turn. put me from 1 to 5 and one attack to 0 because he checked an overtrigger and overtrigger and another crit. So, and he put 100 million on another column. So he put me from 1 to 5. Then on my turn, it was I went to Obadiah, got 2 Marauding Shades with 2 Alvinas and Negrabone. I swung with Obadiah, overtrigger, heal, crit. So it was already a 3, so you couldn't really do anything about it. No heals, no nothing. So that was that game. Round 4 was actually against one of the prison players that actually also ended up making top cut. That game was really freaking rough because I lost the dice roll again. He made me go first, and then going fast forwarding into that game during my first stride turn, I had to pitch a Sanctitude, a Negrabone, and an Alvina just to stride. So that didn't really end up going very well for me because didn't have the Sanctitude for his second Seraph turn. So I ended up losing that game. But really cool dude. He actually hooked me up with a couple of the SP crits the next day, so we still talk. Round 5, it was Blindmire. So that match felt almost a little too free because he was never able to find any decent rear guards to try to pressure me. And the fact that I saw my hostage package early because I was on my second turn, I Sephired. I saw that I had the Searcher on top. I milled it. Counterblast 1. Called the Searcher. Get the order. And I would just constantly keep recycling Alvina and the Perf Guard that I pitched on my turn 1. So he was just never able to find a good time to use his Divine Skill. He actually went 3 turns without ever using his Divine Skill. And then 30 seconds go. So there was 30 seconds left in the round. He just swung into me with only 2 cards left in his deck. I of course no guarded. He decked out. I won that game. Round 6, it was against Odium. That was actually probably like my hardest matchup of the day because I drew 3 heal triggers in my first 2 turns. So I knew that I just had absolutely no leeway when it comes to like conserving damage. I was able to pull that out now because I checked a 6 damage heal on his last attack during his extra turn. And then after that, I basically just kept trying to hold on by spamming the hostage package with a fucking Perfect Guard. So I just kept living. He just decked himself out. So that was that. And then of course Varga, round 7. There was nothing I could do. His first Varga turn, he hit OT. I had no Perfect Guards in my hand, so I went from 1 to 5. I couldn't push him hard enough to get him past 5 damage, and then he ended up killing me on his first Rakshasa turn. Nothing you can really do about it. But after that, I found out I made top 32. Really happy about that. Past deck check. Funny enough, during deck check, the second judge checking my deck was Ruffle shuffling my deck, and he ended up splitting 2 of my sleeves. And luckily for me, I had an extra pack on standby, but who knows what would have happened if I didn't have any extra sleeves? Like, do I automatically just get disqualified, or do they have to pay for the sleeves, you know? So going to top 32, it was against Levy Dress. I didn't even really care what happened after that point, but I felt like I had the game because for 2 turns straight, I kept him at 3 damage because I knew that he wasn't playing any copies of Clarence, and he had 3 face down damage. And going into his last turn, he only had like 2 cards left in his hand. But he swings with his Vanguard. I Perfect Guard it. He checks OT. He put on the Squirrel. There was just nothing I could do about that. I only had 1 Perfect Guard in my hand. So that's where my run ended, unfortunately. But
Hey,
still,
you did a good job. I think you did great. I heard you pop off when you you were 28th?
I got 28th place after Swiss. Yeah.
Hey, still a great job, Penny. So thank you for your profile. Thank you for the explanation on your rounds. And hey, there's the next tournament, man. Hopefully you can film me again for that.
Hopefully we can get some good stuff for Summerfest.
That's
Hopefully.
true. That's true.
Hopefully we get that scheduled soon.
Any shout outs?
I want to shout out Marco, who somehow snuck into top 32 because someone failed deck check. Lucky bastard. And of course, want to shout out, Jesus with the Van Bros. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
And of course, I want to shout out the Dragon's Lair over in Fort Myers, Florida. Come check us out. We have locals every week on Tuesdays. Come on, check us out. All right, later.
Bye, guys.